and welcome to Financial Fitness. I'm your host today, Paul Gebhardt, with my good friends here, Dan and Jim the Two. And do not adjust your screen. They are father and son.
Yes.
Father and son. Chip off the old block, right?
I am the father.
Oh,
If there's any confusion out there in
glad
TV
you
land,
cleared that up, because you know Stephanie, our makeup girl, she's pretty good. You had me fooled for a minute.
Similar hairstyles.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about hair.
Okay, I had a similar hairstyle.
When I sit next to people like him, I just, there's a part of me that just wants to stab him. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Love
Give
it.
me $5 after.
Give you $5. It was funny because I actually heard someone out there tell me, he reminds me of Bryce Harper. And I thought about Mike.
I'll take that.
Bryce Harper,
I
right?
wish I had
No
that
doubt.
contract.
That contract would be good. No doubt about that.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, speaking of
Financial
money.
fitness. Oh, you are, yeah.
Oh, don't forget why you're here. Why are we here? Oh, we're going to talk about money. Oh, yeah,
keep
that's
doing
right.
this all day. This is fun, too.
I'm not a comedian, by the way, if you can't tell. Okay, look, we're having fun, but guess what? That's what this is about. We want folks out there to have as much fun as we're all having here.
Right.
And we want their families to be secure. Because security is one of those things I think we all kind of overlook sometimes, don't we? Or we take for granted.
I think we take it for granted.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Today, I want to get into all of the things that happened in people's financial plans. We're going to talk about where they are, where they're going, but what really keeps them up, right? Because I think hopefully we're going to try to give them some peace of mind today, right, fellas?
Right.
Yeah.
Does that sound good to you?
That's our goal.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started.
Sure.
So what do you say to people out there who, maybe they've made some great choices, maybe they've made some, choices they're not proud of. And I get it. And look, I'm you. I can tell you the shame in my game. I was one of those people that broke my own rule. I didn't diversify.
Right.
When real estate was going real good in Phoenix, and I put all my money there. Guess what? Yeah, I got hurt bad. So it happens. But this is the key point here. Hope can lead to change. You can improve your picture, but you got to get involved.
Right.
And you have to bring everything.
Right.
And so where I'm going with this is, how key is it for a person in their financial plan to share the debt aspects of their life, where they are, and maybe even debts in their retirement? And is there such thing as positive debt overall?
Sure. So great question. And thanks for having us. So when we sit down with someone, I always say the first time we sit down with somebody, it's a conversation. That's all we're looking to do is find out a little about you. You can find out about us. It's just a conversation. So the idea of I have to have this plan. It's got to be down to the to the decimal point and all that. No. It's just a general conversation. But part of the conversation is, of course, going over your assets, your the money you have and where it sits and all that. But another equally important part of the conversation is, well, what do you spend? Do you have debt? Do you have credit card debt? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have car payments? Most all of us do. Some of us don't, some of us do. Because everybody's situation's different,
yes.
It's critical you look at both sides of that when you're trying to design a plan, or in this case, a retirement plan. Financial planning looks at both sides of it. Retirement planning looks at both sides of it too. It's okay, I'm getting close to retirement. For years, our generation was sort of groomed with the idea, boy, you can't have a mortgage in retirement. With interest rates being so low, maybe it's okay to carry it to, some years into retirement. I don't know. Everybody's financial situation is different. So you have to look at things differently. Credit card debt is, why do we have credit card debt? Is it a spending issue? Is it a discretionary spending issue? Maybe these are things we don't need or have to revisit. That's not up to me or Dan to judge that. It's just to sort of help you maybe look at it a little differently, like why do we have that and how can we maybe rearrange some things? Just like how we're looking at assets from, you have a 401k and you have a pension and Social Security or whatever your things are, we take a look at those. Well, we have to look at the other side too. So the debt question is enormously important because we have to sort of have both sides of the picture to say, yes, you're in fine shape, or no, we need a little work, or when people come in and say, can I retire now? A lot of it has to do with, well, what does your spending look like? So sometimes that's an uncomfortable conversation for people. I always say that we kind of have three types of people coming to see us. The first type is they know to the decimal point, here's what I've spent last month, last year, 32 years ago, and it's all on a nice spreadsheet. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Then we have some that come in and they have, I have a rough idea what I'm spending. That's okay too.
Yeah.
And then we have some that come in and they don't want to complete any of that stuff because they don't want to know what they're spending. Well, I'm not your parent, but I'm just trying to help you. You can't formulate a plan if you don't give yourself an idea of where you stand, and we help you do that.
Yeah.
And to your point, people, most people have made a financial mistake. We've made financial mistakes.
Sure.
It's very common, and that's okay. But when we meet with people, we basically start where they are and take them forward. So mistakes have happened in the past, of course. We can account for those, but we meet you where you are and we take you forward. So whether it's debt or some other financial mistake, we need to know about that at the get-go. So, it'd be like going to the doctor and not telling them everything that's wrong and expecting a good diagnosis. So you got to kind of come to us and put all your cards on the table, and then we can move forward from there.
Yeah. You mentioned people, they bring in their stuff in different ways. Guy with the spreadsheet, guy brings in a box. How about guys like me that bring in like a shoebox, and when you lift the lid, it says, see shoebox number 3.
Lots of guys like that.
And then I realized,
A
wait
few
a minute, I
shoeboxes.
think I left that in my wife's car somewhere. How about that guy?
I like to say initially, a lot of times we're just helping you get organized.
Yeah.
And that brings a lot of relief to a lot of people because it's a very scary idea of.
It's intimidating. I mean, let's just be real.
They're afraid. We're
It's a very
afraid.
Some people are
intimidating.
embarrassed about it. Some people don't want to pick up the phone because they think they've waited too long to have this conversation, and that ship has sailed. But it's never too late to come in and at least get organized, see where you're at and what you've got.
Trust me, I've made tons of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes.
I had that coming.
Hold on. Did we get a close-up on Jim's face?
I had that coming. I've made a lot of mistakes. So
Right now he's about, hey, are you going to walk home? That's good.
as a matter of fact, talk about that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh, Lord, this is going to be really good today. Sorry.
So my point is, we've all made mistakes, and it's not about judgment. It's just about observing. Like, here's where you are. We're going to paint the picture right now where you are, and then we figure out, well, where do you want to go? What are you trying to do now that we're entering that next chapter?
Yes.
Now that we're starting the next phase of our lives, well, how can we position you to have that peace of mind that I'm not worried constantly about money, which most of us are.
Yeah.
So-
And we're having a good time. I don't mean to make light, because this is a serious note. Yeah, the thing that I want you to see here is this. It doesn't matter. Judging yourself, we're all our own worst critic. That's the bottom line. Bottom line. But guess what? Maybe that decision you made had a purpose to it, and you just need someone to help understand that purpose of making that decision, and maybe they find something that you didn't think of. So, I'm sure people brought you challenges. They've come in, they go, oh gosh, I'm sorry, Jim, I got to share this with you. You go, hey, Bob, don't worry about it. I understand what you were trying to do, but I want to ask you a couple questions. Did you think about X, Y, and Z? And maybe you have that little piece of puzzle to add to that can turn it around for them.
Sure.
And,
right?
And there are several conversations that's how our relationship starts, where a lot of people will be skittish. They don't know if they can trust us, and that's very normal. And they shouldn't trust everybody they talk to. So they'll call us and they'll say, hey, I just have a quick question just to grab your ear for a second about so-and-so topic. And that'll lead us into another conversation and another question, and the relationship just kind of builds organically that way. And that's great, because we want people to be comfortable when they come in to see us.
Yeah. And would you do me a favor, buddy, and share with the good people out there what you guys are offering them today?
Yeah, so we're going to make that complimentary plan for them. So they're going to bring their shoe boxes, or if it's a bigger box, that's okay too. And we're going to take their information, organize it for them, and show them what that would look like in terms of a retirement plan.
Good stuff. The key thing there, it's complimentary. 10 spots. One of them could have your name on it. The difference is you. You've got to make that decision. You've got to pick up that phone call. 866-356-8889. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Financial Fitness. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my buddies here, Jim and Dan Vatu. Guys, we have some fun. I love that. And you know what? For folks out there, guess what? Yeah, this is serious stuff. But you know what? The whole purpose is for you to have fun, right? Not just to get to retirement, and not just to get through retirement, right? But to enjoy it, to put laughter in your life, to put love in your life. Better yet, have all the time in the world to be with the people you want, and the last thing on your mind is how much money you got. Because if it's done right, somebody's doing that for you. They're the ones keeping an eye on the store while you're out there fishing, skydiving, whatever you do. Right? So I got to ask you, so here I am. I'm this guy with shoe boxes because that's me. And I'm like, honey, where's that box? No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, how does somebody know they're ready? Or when does a person pick up a phone and decide to, hey, you know what, maybe I need to reach out? When is that?
Great question. I don't have an answer for you because it's literally different for everybody. So our process is the first conversation is just that. You leave that. We always say, leave the checkbook at home. We're really just trying to get an idea of your current picture. So the idea is you come in, you bring whatever you're comfortable bringing, the shoebox or maybe not the shoebox. I don't know. It's just to get to know us. We get to know you. We find out, is there a reason to have another meeting? Mm-hmm. And it's really just so the process isn't, okay, we have to do it exactly in these steps. It's sometimes we'll meet with clients over and over and over and over again before they commit to anything. Sometimes they commit to nothing. At this point, I've been doing this for over 30 years, so I don't have a set agenda that I follow, bullet point to bullet point. We always sort of have a general guide we're following because that's what we're doing for you, is giving you that path to follow. Because let's face it, things are going to change. Taxes are going to change. Your life is going to change. Your family's life is going to change. So if we have a plan that is flexible, it can adjust to those things. But the idea is to start with a conversation and see where it goes from there.
And what we like to say is our ideal client makes that plan on their own terms. So they make that, in a fun way, and they can have fun with us. They come to us, they bring us their stuff, and we create the plan so that as life does change, we amend that plan, as opposed to something catastrophic happening and they don't have a plan, and then all of a sudden they come in and it's a fire drill and it's no fun and it's all business and things like that. So we'd much prefer the former than the latter.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand that. You talk about the power of being proactive. Right. And that's vital. And guess what? The step in being proactive starts with you. That's really it.
Right.
You can get the best people in the world to help you. And I'm going to share a quick story about my good buddy, Dr. Carter. Can I do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Dr. Carter, he's my doc. Okay? Brilliant guy. So I just want to know. I ask him because he knows I ask him so many questions, I probably drive him nuts. And I'm like, Doc, what's your biggest problem? What issue drives you crazy when you're helping patients? And he said, Paul, I love solving the riddle of people's medical experiences and the things they're going through because I want them to be well. He said, but the thing that really just bothers me is when I give people advice and they don't follow it. He goes, it hurts, man. It actually, it's just disappointing. Because I know we can get them there, but I just can't get them to understand it. You've got to take a role in your health. You got to choose it.
You're totally right, and it works in retirement planning as well. Is you don't just come in and we do all the work. This is an interactive relationship, and it really is a relationship. So we become very close because finances and money is very emotional.
Boy.
And it gets emotional at times.
Was you spying on me in 2007?
Right. But it's very true. And I know, especially as we're at retirement or approaching retirement, it's compounded, the emotions compounded because now it's scary. It's we're going into the great unknown. It's, we've had a job for 45 years, and all of a sudden now there's not going to be a paycheck every other week. And it's like, where's the money going to come from? Plus, there's all this crazy jargon in our industry. There's, 401ks and IRAs and Roth conversions and taxes and Social Security. Like, it's overwhelming. So the idea is just to try to, a lot of times, to just calm down people's fears and say, it's going to be okay. Look, we've designed it to work this way, and it's flexible to move. We've addressed those giant fears that are in your head, like, what if I run out of money? What if the market tanks? What am I supposed to do? How do we plan the portfolio, or how do we design the portfolio to protect us against that? Or heaven forbid, there's a long-term health concern. How do we adjust for that? A lot of our clients, single, married, divorced, it doesn't matter. Everybody has these same kind of concerns, and it's like, how do we help you along the path? And that's really what we try to do. We really do try to have fun with it. This is really serious stuff, but it's okay. We bring in the shoebox. That's totally fine. Bring in the spreadsheet that's been organized for the last 37 years. That's fine too. We don't, like I said, we're not judging. We're just here to try to help you along the path. But you're right. The first thing is you have to have just enough courage to take that first step. I know there's tons of great, and that's not to come to see us. This is a shameless plug. I wish you would come to see us.
Not so shameless.
But,
That was beautiful.
but there's lots of great advisors out there that will do the same thing, but you just have to have the courage to just go have a conversation.
Yeah.
Most everybody I know in the industry will have a conversation, and it isn't scary, and I know there's a lot of unknown stuff, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah. We're doing this. There's a general theme you might be picking up out there. We're having fun, we're laughing, we're doing whatever. Let me tell you what I know about Jim Vatu in the short time I've gotten to know him. You can't phase him with that, really, truly. He just wants to know you, just wants to help you.
Yep.
He believes in hope. Because let's talk about hope. Because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, hope's not a plan. It has nothing to do with financials. And I hear all these people in the ivory tower as they talk to me, nonsense. Because the reality is, this isn't all about just stacking up a big pile of money and go, hey, look at my big pile of money over there. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Gary, pilot. We were just talking about the same thing. When somebody comes to your funeral, guess what they don't talk about? They don't talk about how much money you had.
No.
They talk about the person. They talk about how they were there for me when I needed this.
Yep.
Right? But here's the interesting thing about a good financial plan. When it's done right, it allows you the freedom to be there for a lot of people. On your terms. Your terms. And that's the important thing. I think we can't stress enough. This needs to be on your terms. Years ago, we could count on the government. We could count on our employers. And guess what? It's about us now, right, guys?
Right.
We have to take care of our issue. Our pensions, they have to be our own personal plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we like to do for people is we organize that part of it so that they can get back out and they can focus on the things that make them happy.
Yeah.
They can rest assured knowing that they have a solid financial plan that will carry them through retirement so they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, good stuff. Would you mind sharing, Jim, with the folks out there? Because I'm calling on you this time.
Oh.
See that?
After the shameless plug.
I brought in the old, I'm calling in the silverback now, okay?
Gotcha.
Would you share with the good people
So
out
what
there
happens
what you want to offer?
for the next 10 callers?
Yeah.
Do we still have to? I don't think we have 10 available.
It's down,
So, but
yep.
anyway, we're going to give a complimentary analysis of your assets to go over your plan, to help you build a plan. You bring in your shoebox, you bring in your statements, you bring in whatever you're comfortable with. We have a conversation. But what we're going to do is we're really going to help you build a retirement plan. There's no cost, there's no obligation.
That's good.
You just have to be willing to do it.
Again, it's complimentary. I think
Yes.
that's the fun part. And it can be expensive. I've seen folks charge $1,500 a session because it takes time, effort, and resources to get to know your plan and to kind of set you up and get you going. But again, it takes you. The difference between hope and a plan. Action. That's the bridge. Action. It's up to you. 866-356-8889. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back after these messages.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my buddies, Dan and Jim Vatu, father and son at Vatu Financial Services. You know, we talk a lot about retirement planning. We talk about financial planning. We talk about all these things, and all these things matter because it comes down to money matters, but most importantly, the freedom, right? There's a group of folks out there that I love. You know, you guys know me by now. I'm not a big fan of category. I don't believe in them.
Right.
I'm not a big believer in labeling someone because they're a human being. We're not right. We're not left, conservative, or liberal. You know, we're not this color and that color. We're not any of these things. We are people. You know, united folks. And you know what? We all have dreams. That's the common thing. And even though those dreams differ, they matter. So right now, I just kind of want to talk a little bit, Dan, and I want to ask you directly.
Sure.
Young folks out there, planning for their future, what do you want them to know?
So, you know, that's one of the things that kind of brought me into this profession, pulled me out of the corporate world, is I had a lot of concerns about my own financial future, and I think most people do. Even people in my profession. It's a very gray world, and if you're not in it, it's especially scary, and you don't really know what to do. And the more retired people that I talk to, you know, that have gone down that path, they reflect back on my day, you know, the days when they were my age, and say, you know, I wish I would have done this better, and I wish I would have put this there, and I would have made these moves. And that's great, but what I like to do is take those things that they wish they would have done, analyze those, and see if they make sense for people my age. Whether that's to put money away in a separate account or life insurance, things like that. There's no one cookie cutter approach that they can do, but the earlier they start, all the retired clients I have, the biggest thing they say is, I wish I would have started sooner. So the sooner they start, the better they'll line up.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're going to go back. What do they say?
They say the sooner they start, they wish they would have started,
They
the better
wish they would have
Right.
started sooner.
Yep.
That's about control. That's really about your decision. That's up to you. Take control.
And most times those first conversations, especially with people in my demographic, it's just to kind of get somebody who you can view as a thought partner and somebody who, you know, there might not be anything to do right now, but
Yeah.
just to get your thoughts in line and say, okay, this is where I am, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do to get there.
Think tanking.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Another set of eyes, another brain, right involved in the equation. You know, I want to hit this. I don't want to get off the subject for a minute. I'll tell you why. Because there's this weird study out there I've heard that 60% of the people out there with the current wealth in the country don't really entrust it to the younger generation. And I hear that stuff, guys, and that upsets me. Because I think it's an opportunity for us to educate, inform, and be involved. You know, I don't want to be in the ivory tower and go, well, you know what? You know, my son, he's part of that generation, and I don't trust him to do the right thing with the money. Well, guess what? I'm his dad. I'm his dad. That's an opportunity for me to get involved and help.
Right.
And we pull those people into conversations a lot. We'll say, you know, if people are nervous about passing that money on, we'll say, well, let's bring them into this conversation.
Yes.
Let's show them how this is set up and how this is going to work when they pass on.
And you guys are willing to do that. You're willing to
Well,
work
that's
with these folks, multi-generations, all down the line.
A critical piece to the plan is to know who's important to the client. Their children, their grandchildren, their brothers, sisters, their charities, whatever's important to them. Especially family, it's important that we know who they are for that regrettable day when that person passes on. We at least have a working relationship to say, oh, okay, we have to go talk to Jim and Dan to figure out what's going to happen. Because I know, you know, grandpa or dad or mom or whoever was taking care of us, so we know to talk to them. But that's a critical component, is getting to know what's important to the individual. Who's important to the individual? Because at the end of the day, like you said before, you know, you're building a giant stack of money to who?
Right.
It's all about the people in your lives.
Yeah.
And it's all about taking care of yourself and the people in your lives. How many lives have you touched? And that's all we're trying to do. And we try to have fun along the way.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you guys, is that you do throw in the fun there, and you can. That's
We
what
do
it
throw the
should
fun
be.
in.
I mean, shouldn't retirement be fun? I guess what? It's fun when you've done the right things.
Yeah. A little bit of work up front, and then it turns into fun down the road.
But guess what? Work should be fun too, shouldn't
Exactly.
Exactly
it? If
right.
you're doing the things you love,
Yeah.
that should be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello. You know, that's why, to me, I'm not a huge believer in retirement, because if you're doing things you love, why would you retire from that?
Right?
You know, I'm a big believer in, guess what? I just want to make sure I got freedom. I want to be able to maneuver, win quickly.
Well, exactly. So that's why I always say it's not retirement, it's the next chapter.
The next chapter,
What are we
baby.
doing next?
Yes, Jim.
And we're going back to school, we're going traveling, hopefully, soon. But it's those things that are the important things.
Yeah.
And how do we just build a plan around it?
Fantastic. Hey, listen, we're out of time. And guess what? We've only touched on the topics, maybe a little bit today. But the most important thing is why we talk about the topics. You. That's why. Your family, your future. You want details about your financial plan? Reach out to these guys. 866-356-8889. Take advantage of that complimentary review. We want to thank you for allowing us in your homes today. We wish you all the very best. Be well, everybody.